Hello, class. Today we're going to look at what is called the Gilded Age. Why Gilded Age? Writer Mark Twain coined the term Gilded Age to describe this time period, which is 1865, so that's the ending of slavery, to 1900. If something is gilded, it is covered in a thin layer of gold. Gilded objects include cheap metals and wood. Twain was referring to serious social problems, including poverty masked by the wealth of a few, so like the 1% that we even have today. This time period was one of the massive growth for U.S. industrialization, immigration, and cities. Why is this? Well, we are going to have the railroads. They are going to contribute to the growth in the United States. So the continued growth of the railroad industry helped fuel economic growth. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad completed the opening of the West. The Central Pacific Railroad built east from California, and the Union Pacific built west from Nebraska. It was the immigrants, the Chinese and the Irish, that were instrumental in building the railroad because they worked on it. The two companies met in Utah in May 1869, where they laid a golden spike to complete the railroad. Also during this time, because it gets dark sooner in certain areas of the United States, you couldn't have just one set time for the whole United States. So they created what was called time zones, which we have today. It gets darker in North Carolina faster than it does in California because California is 3 hours behind our time. So you have the Eastern time zone, which North Carolina is in, the Central time zone, and the Mountain time zone, and then last, the Pacific time zone for the United States. Improved steam engines and later oil engines and safety developments led to more Western settlement and movement of goods. You're going to have innovation, which is a new method of product brings growth. So you're going to have different inventions. So let's look at steel. The output of steel increased with a cheaper process called the Bessemer process for producing it. Steel was used to expand the railroads and in the construction of skyscrapers. So now you have cities that are going to start to get developed and just come up because the skyscrapers go up instead of sideways. And the railroads is going to make it easier for people to travel. Then you have Mr. Thomas Edison. He was nicknamed the Wizard of Menlo Park. He experimented with electricity. His advances on the light bulb brought safe lighting and electricity to buildings. So now you can start doing stuff later too, like playing games, sports, watching them, and playing them. You're going to have approved methods of manufacturing goods led to greater output. This is mass production. Like when Nike makes shoes, they do it in mass production. So you have several shoes come out just instead of just one. You're going to have better machinery, interchangeable parts, meaning that you can use these parts on any like shoe that you're building or any car. So this is going to lead to the creation of the assembly line. You're also going to have communication will improve. You're going to have the telegraph, which was created in 1837. It gave way to the telephone, which was invented by Alexander Graham Bell. The telephone created jobs for women as operators. This is where you're going to see the development of corporations, monopolies, and trusts. A corporation raises money by selling stock in their company. People who buy stock are called shareholders, like Walmart. You can buy Walmart stock. You can buy Best Buy stock because they're big corporations. Now, monopoly, our government does not allow monopolies. They allow natural monopolies like in cable companies. But if our government allowed monopolies, then prices would be really, really high for us because there's no competition. So you want competition, like you want competition between Target and Walmart because then you can get your price down low. So a monopoly is a company that eliminates its competition. It is the only supplier of a product, so meaning it can set prices whatever is want because you can only go to that company to get that product. Some companies eliminated competition and dishonest methods. You also have trusts. Trusts were often used to get around regulation against monopolies. Trusts are legal bodies that hold stock in many companies in the same industry. These companies are controlled by trustees and are run together as a monopoly. So we're going to look at 4 individuals that became very wealthy during this time period. Sometimes they're called robber barons or captain of industry, all on how you view them. So Rockefeller led the oil industry. His Standard Oil Trust controlled 95% of oil refining in the U.S. So he made a lot of money. Vanderbilt was a shipping and railroad tycoon. He is one of the richest Americans to ever live. Carnegie, he dominated the steel industry through his company U.S. Steel. And then J.P. Morgan was a banker who bought and combined many companies, including U.S. Steel. The perception that these men were using dishonest methods to get rich earned them the nickname robber barons. Let's pull a little. So robber baron, again, are captain of industry. These men also created jobs, new products, and donated millions of dollars to charities and public projects. Vanderbilt donated $1 million to start Vanderbilt University. Rockefeller philanthropy, can't talk, sorry, had a major effect on education, medicine, and science. And then Carnegie donated most of his vast fortune. He started the Carnegie Institution for Scientific Research in 1902. Urbanization is basically the process. All right, sorry about that. So urbanization is basically the process of rapid growth in cities caused by industrialization. So if it's a rural area, now it's turning into a city. Like just look at the city of Raleigh and how people have just moved out into like Wake Forest, Youngsville, Roseville, Wendell. All those areas are built up. Nightdale, and it all started with the city of Raleigh. So by 1900, almost 40% of Americans lived in cities, up from 15% in 1850. Why? You're going to have the movement of rural Americans to cities, immigration to the USA, engineering developments such as suspension bridges, skyscrapers, a public transportation allowed cities to grow. Although these are like benefits of cities, you're going to have a negative aspect of cities. You're going to have the slum and tenement life. The rapid growth of cities led to urban problems. Anytime you see urban, I'm talking about city. The urban poor lived in crowded apartments called tenements. Many were dangerous and unsanitary. Disease spread easily. Poor neighborhoods were overcrowded. Dangerous housings were called slums. So who were the new immigrants? An immigrant is a person who settles in a new country. Before the 1890s, most immigrants to the U.S. from Northern and Western Europe, such as England, Ireland, Scotland, and Germany. Later immigrants arrived in greater numbers from Southern and Eastern Europe. You're going to have Italy, Poland, Russia, Hungary. This second wave of immigrants is known as new immigrants. So the new immigrants faced many challenges. Most did not speak English, were unskilled laborers, and didn't have a lot of money. The point of entry for many immigrants was Ellis Island, New York. Immigrants faced a health inspection, and some were denied entry into the United States. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses earning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your timid shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden doors. This was written on the Statue of Liberty. Many immigrants faced fear, suspicion, and discrimination. Many people feared immigrants were taking real jobs away from Americans. This fear is called nativism, which we may say that we have this going on in present day United States. So what was the working conditions? Many immigrants found work in dangerous, low-paying factory jobs. The federal government allowed businesses to regulate themselves. There were few restrictions on factory conditions. That is not true today. Our government regulates how many hours a week a person can work, and it just our government makes sure that the working environment is safe for us now. Adults work long hours and oftentimes overcrowded, hot, and dangerous factories. These are called sweatshops. Children work too for much less than adults. They often operated dangerous machinery or worked in mines. During this time, you're also going to have political corruption. A political machine is an organized group that influences votes to control a local government. The most famous of these was the Democratic Tammany Hall in New York City, led by William Boss Tweed. Tammany Hall demanded bribes, threatened and stole to stay in power. This is what is called political corruption, and control government in New York City. The group was popular among immigrants who felt the group gave back and served their community. And that is going to conclude the period of the Gilded Age. Thank you.